Everything is what it is based on a story you gave it. So this really goes into perspective and stories and narratives, and without them, this wouldn't exist. Welcome back to One's journey of unwinding the mind and, of course, your daily microdose. Now tune in to the latest episode of One's journey. Today, I want to talk about the stories we place on things. And what do I mean by that? So what I mean is that really everything in this illusion is what it is based on a story you gave it. So this really goes into perspective and stories and narratives, and without them, this illusion wouldn't exist. Example, I've talked about The Little Mermaid before. She finds the fork. She's like, oh my gosh, it's a Dinglehopper to brush her hair with. But to me, that's a fork to eat my food with. So if in fact it can be for one person something to brush their hair with and for another person to eat food with, then is it ever either? Or is it just the stories they place behind it? Another example, this orange notebook. First of all, I only know it is a notebook because of the story I was taught. And granted, it wasn't originally my story. This story goes way back to when it was decided that papers placed together, bound, are a notebook. And then I was taught this as I grew up. And then the color is orange. I was also taught that. I don't know, maybe this color is actually blue, but it's orange. Well, okay, so those are the stories behind how I even know how to use this. But then there's another layer. The story of this could be every time I look at it, I'm like, this is the ugliest freaking notebook ever. Why? Well, I went to the store and I wanted a yellow one and all they had was orange, and I don't even like orange. So every time I look at it, I feel this emotion of irritation and frustration because they didn't have what I wanted. Or I could have gone to the store and wanted orange and been so excited because it was the last orange notebook there was. So every time I see this orange notebook, I am so freaking excited because it reminds me of how I scored the last orange notebook that I wanted so bad. So, if everything has a story that can activate emotion within us and also decipher how we use something, then that means every time we walk through our house, those stories are playing in our head. Every time you view something, those stories are playing in your head. You're like, whoa, what do you mean, Ashley? Well, it may not be consciously, but subconsciously, all of those negative or positive stories are activating. Even for the shortest amount of time, they are activating themselves. So one of the greatest things you can do, say you went through a major breakup in your life or a period of your life that you're transitioning out of and it carries a lot of sadness and shame and guilt, is to purge. Purge out those things in your house that are holding weight. And you're probably like, Ashley, this is so illusion driven. Yep, it is. But remember, we live in the illusion. And we use things as walking sticks instead of crutches. And to be honest, if we know this, which is a huge eye-opener to many people that, oh my gosh, all of these things in my life carry stories. Is this a story I want to be activated? We know that. We know the power of perception. We know the power of stories. And yes, we're in the process of untying them, but until we've fully untied them, my friend, they are still activating stuff within you. So I would invite you to go throughout your house and the things in your house that when you look at them, they remind you of a time of your life that you were sad and depressed. Just pay attention to the feelings you feel. And you're probably like, oh my gosh, this is Marie Kondo or whatever her name was. Okay, yeah, maybe kind of like that, but not to that extreme, because we're not saying let's only keep things we love, because also when we love something, then we're placing weight on the illusion. as well. And yeah, you could say we're placing weight on the illusion right now, but we instead are seeing it as the walking stick and how it actually could be impacting us. And we don't need that. We're doing some major work, my friends. We need to have this ability to really focus, and those things may be holding you back from focusing. After my divorce and my transition out of my old job that carried a lot of shame and guilt, my mentor at that time said, hey, I encourage you to go through and purge everything that reminds you of your ex-husband, your ex-boyfriend, your job, those times that were really dark for you, and move them out. Clear out that space. And holy crap, it was so freeing. And it wasn't a negative event. We actually had like a celebration for that part of my life of honoring it. And then we burned some of the things, and then a welcoming of this new version of myself. And it was one of the most weight-lifting things ever, because I think it was also a representation of forgiveness, a representation of releasing of the weight, which you can also do with things within your home. I think we collect all of these things, and we only collect them because of the stories. Think about when you want to get rid of something and you go to throw it away and you're like, oh, but Susie Q gave me that and she's the sweetest person ever. Even if you don't use it, you've got this whole story, and that's why you're keeping it. Well, those stories are keeping you stuck, my friend. They may be holding you back. And we're really looking at trying to disconnect the stories from everything and realize that none of this contains any weight. It's only the weight we place on it. I hope this video was helpful for you. It's really an opportunity to start this new version of yourself. Free yourself of the things in your home. Free yourself of those stories. And it also brings you the opportunity to get curious when those stories come up. Right? What needs my forgiveness still? What needs me to realize that it never really happened, and that it doesn't need to hold the weight I still place on it? So remember, everything is the stories we place on it. I only know this is chapstick because I was told it's chapstick, and it's only my favorite chapstick because that's what I tell myself. And I feel like I can't live without it. That might be an opportunity for me, huh? When I can't find my chapstick, it's pretty life-ending. If only I was that lucky. No, so right here, opportunity. Like I told you, there's opportunities everywhere. Hop on the Discord, share. Are you going to do some clearing out? Let me know. And as always, you have the opportunity to share of any ideas you would like to discuss. And if you want to discuss live with myself and Patrick and a group of other amazing individuals like you, once a month, if you are in the right-minded thinker tier on Patreon, that is the highest tier, we do a live discussion for an hour on a Sunday, and it is jam-packed with so much greatness, and we really get to connect on Zoom and see each other and really get to know each other. We would love to see you there. As always, my friend, remember you are worth it. Bye.